Welcome to Roughing It with Ruth, the channel where everything is a bit rough around the edges. In this short episode, I'm going to share with you how I clean my tent. I go through pretty much the same procedure whether I'm using my small hiking tent or the big 6-man tent that I use for car camping. First off, the number one thing that I have found that can really destroy a tent is if you leave it packed away or rolled up while it's still wet, because then things like mildew and mold start developing and the waterproof materials start delaminating. It's just a disaster. So the very first thing that I do is to try not to pack my tent away wet. But this isn't always possible. Sometimes on the final day of a hike or on the last day when you're coming home, the tent is wet and you just have to pack it away. But what I always do is, as soon as I possibly can, I take the tent out of its bag, and even if I can't clean it right away, I try to open it out as much as possible and leave it somewhere to just air dry, even though it's still dirty. Then the second thing that I do is to actually pitch the tent inner and sweep it out or brush it out with a dustpan just to get the basic bits of dirt out. And then I take a sponge or a cloth with just normal plain cold tap water and I give everything a bit of a wipe down and then leave everything to dry again. And then the third thing I do, the last thing I do, is to deal with the fly sheet of the tent. Sometimes I don't actually have to clean the fly sheet. Sometimes I can just leave it to air dry and it's fine. But what I will either do is pitch it completely as normal and then with a sponge or a cloth with just normal cold tap water, wipe down the entire fly sheet, or I'll just drape the fly sheet over the tent inner and wipe it down. Or if it's not very dirty, then I will just spot clean it with it spread out on the floor and then leave it to dry. And once everything is dried, I then roll everything up as per usual, pack it away in its bag, and then I try to store my tent in a place where it isn't exposed to damp or direct sunlight, because both of those things over time can destroy a tent, and heat is very important as well. So I generally leave my tent in my cupboard in my bedroom at home where it's not going to get damp, it's not going to get direct sunlight, and it's not going to get overheated. And that's it for how I clean my tent. If you have any tips for how you take care of your tent, then please share them in the comments below. The easiest thing that I have found is to clean your tent on the final day when you pack it up at the end of your trip. But that being said, I myself hardly ever manage to get that right, because generally on the final day you don't have a lot of time, you're trying to get somewhere quickly, there's some sort of issue that comes up and you can't clean the tent. Sometimes you just don't have the supplies with you to clean it like you want to. So I very often do end up cleaning my tent at home as well. But it is a bit of a mission. Don't neglect it though, especially if you have paid a lot of money for your tent, then don't neglect it because tents are expensive to replace. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more.